I will speak up.
Okay, yeah. Maybe just like try to speak a little bit louder or into the microphone if you can, just to make sure everyone can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So I'm excited for the training that you have prepared for us today. So I'm just going to give the floor to you and you can take us away.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So today's, I'm sort of one of my big passions is the relationship we have with ourselves. And I feel like it's a foundational piece to the quality of connection we have with others and the quality of life that we seem to have. I think when our connection to self is strong and compassionate, that we meet our own needs more effectively, our choices align with our values, capacity, intentions. We approach each day with more attunement and presence. Our nervous system settles, creating inner safety and harmony, which also then goes out into the world energetically, helping us actually manifest and bring towards ourselves the things that we want. Because even with the best of intentions, if deep down inside we're chaotic or fearful or any of the rest of that stuff, then that's kind of what we're putting out there, regardless of what our words and our actions do, right? So to me, to really address that energy and to come into harmony, that is about being attuned with ourselves. So attunement to self to me means developing awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, our reactions, quite often our beliefs, and the energy we hold and how we respond to ourselves. The awareness can help us move from like judgment and unconscious kinds of patterns that are out of our awareness into, and particularly from criticism to compassion, and from survival to thriving, and into alignment. So today that's going to be the little exercise that we're going to do. We're going to do an exercise about the critic and compassion. So if people have a piece of paper, I invite them to think about one place in their lives that they either currently are or recently have been hard on themselves. Whether that's you're just very critical of yourself, you tend to come down very hard on yourself, any kind of place where you notice that critic and that negative kind of response towards yourself. And I doubt that anybody doesn't have one place they do that, right? So just take a second to write down 1 to 3 sentences, just kind of like putting down what that is. Okay, just give a quick second for that. And then step 2, we're going to do a little bit of a visualization. So first I want you to imagine yourself standing very close to what it is you just written down, just pulling that memory, whether it's a current experience of being unhappy with yourself in that way, or a recent one, just kind of call that up inside yourself. And then what I want you to do is to visualize literally taking a few steps back. So where you're very close to it, I want you to just imagine yourself slowly stepping back. And the concept behind this is you're going to start to be able to see more of the big picture around what it is that you are having a struggle with, where you're being critical of yourself, because the critic likes to be very narrow, and it doesn't take into consideration the big picture. Okay, so now that you've stepped back a little bit and your vision has expanded a little bit, we're going to go through some questions, and you might want to come back to the recording so that you can actually write it down. But for now, just sort of notice where your head takes you as I ask you these questions. So in relation to the situation you've written down, what do you think your inner critic is trying to tell you? Why are they being so harsh with you about this? What is it they might be trying to protect you from or help you do? There usually is a reason, one often rooted in safety, belonging, or values. It's the critic is always trying to help us, and we're just not very aware of that. So just ask yourself, what is it that it's trying? How is it trying to help me here, right? Okay. So the next question, I'd like you to ask yourself, what is it that I'm not taking into consideration when I see it this way? What else has been happening? What are my other commitments, responsibilities, pressures, etc. going on at the same time? How have I been feeling? Has things been rough for me, good for me? Am I in a good place? Am I struggling in other areas of my life? What is my emotional landscape when it comes to trying to address this particular issue or struggle? What else is demanding my attention and time? Like, how much energy have I actually had to put towards this particular thing? How is that influencing my ability to address it or change it in the way that I want? So then I want you to ask yourself, how might my past experiences be shaping how I see this? Are there old stories or memories adding layers to this? Do I have a history that makes me more sensitive to this or brings in beliefs or experiences that are influencing how I see it in the present? Have I ever updated the software to be able to look at this fully in the present without those experiences from the past bringing in meaning or added layers of feelings? Then ask yourself, what has your capacity and energy level been like when you've tried to face this? Have you been resourced or have you been depleted? What kind of support did you have? Were you able to receive the support or did you push it away? Next question. What part of me might actually need understanding or reassurance here and not pressure? How is it that I could show up for myself and offer myself some encouragement and support that might make this actually easier to do, face, or change? If compassion had a voice in this moment, what would it say? If I was to be talking to a friend or even a small child that was struggling with something like this, what might I say to them? What would happen if I took away the expectation and just met myself where I was at? Is there one little thing that I could do that might start to move me towards the kind of change that I would like to make in this area? Okay, so basically the idea that I'm trying to get across in that exercise and what I invite you to do, as far as attunement with self goes, is that we need to basically notice what is going on inside ourselves. And many of us have been taught throughout life to kind of tune that out. We focus on everything external and we barely ever pay attention to everything that's going on in our side. Or we have feelings and reactions and other things that we don't want to own. We want to disown them because maybe they for some reason it's like, oh well, I was actually angry at that person, or I was judgmental of that person, or I was harsh about this, and so it can be hard to, but we have to be honest with ourselves. What are our true feelings, thoughts, and etc., and so that we can understand what is going on in our internal environment, because in that awareness we are going to just be able to so much improve our quality of life, because if we're not aware, we can't change anything, right? We become aware. So that's the first step, is awareness. The second thing is just pausing, going, okay, this is what's going on in here. And then we have a choice. We can either just let it slide, or we can choose to turn towards it and do a little bit more work when we have the capacity to do that. So in that pause, the next step could be to bring in a little bit of curiosity. Why am I responding this way? Why do I feel this? Beyond just I'm always hard on myself. Try to get at, why are you being hard on yourself? And there's usually because I want better for myself, because this is important to me. Things like that. There's usually really good reasons why we're being hard on ourselves. But it's okay for us to update the way that we go about creating the changes that we want as adults, and go, okay, I hear you. I understand what you're trying to do, but I'd like to try it this other way by offering myself some unconditional love and some support and some encouragement. So, and then in that pause, you want to ask yourself, what's the bigger picture? As I said, the critic has always a very narrow lens, and the idea in that pause of awareness is to go, okay, what else is going on in this picture that is contributing to this situation? Because the critic will blame us for it without context, without taking into consideration the big picture at all. So we want to, literally in our head, step back those few steps to take into consideration the bigger picture and all of the stuff that is going into that particular struggle, or the reason we're not doing what it is that we want to be, or we're falling short in some some kind of way that we're perceiving. So, and then we want to just really come in and ask ourselves, okay, like, you know, what do I need right now, and how can I support myself? Um, what would support or encouragement or nurturing look like in this? Is it do I need to back off and just take a break and just realize I will get to that when I will get to that? Is it to write down a list of small actionable steps and take one little step so that I am starting to work on the solution? Is it to reach out to a friend? Is it to journal? Is it to, you know, me and Melissa will say, is it to work with a coach? Is it to, you know, work with a coach? How can I help myself here? You know, I really like the image of we go along, we fall in holes, and quite often what we've been taught to do is stand at top of a hole and kind of yell at ourselves, "Look at you, you fell in the hole," and it just doesn't help us at all. You know, right? What we really need to learn how to do is to stop, recognize the whole struggle that's going on within ourselves, reach a hand out to ourselves, and help us get back on track, or help us move towards the things that we would like to do. So, yeah, we'll just kind of summarize it. Notice, and then pause, and then bring in the curiosity and the compassion.
Thank you, Kerisma. I feel like there's so much alignment in terms of the work that we do. Like, even when you were just describing, like, the training that you were going to be giving today and why you're giving it, I was like, this is totally what self-love is all about. So I think that's also just why we connected, because we just have like that alignment between the messaging in terms of like what we do, why we do, and why we believe it's so important, because the self-awareness is really so important, right? Because we can't heal or grow from anything that we don't even know what's going on inside of us. And I loved how you mentioned like really taking the time to understand the self-critic in terms of like, why is our self-critics saying the things that they are saying, and not just to like absorb it as truth, but to really understand. And like you were saying, it's often rooted in safety or in the fact that we want better for ourselves. And so there is an underlying message there, but there is a better way to get there without that negative critic or constant criticism, you know, saying we're not good enough, or, oh, why did you make that mistake? Like, we don't need to get so hard on ourselves, even though we might not be reaching the goals or we might be making mistakes along the way. Like, that is just how life is. And so how can we demonstrate more self-compassion along the way without giving up on our goals or just telling ourselves like, oh, you know, it's okay that you do that, right? Like, there's always a lesson to be learned in everything that we're going through in life. And so showing up with that compassion, taking a step back. I loved how you brought that to our awareness today, because a lot of the times we don't really take the time to pause. We just keep going through the motions and trying to achieve the next goal without really taking the time to do the inner work, right? All the questions that you were proposing to the audience today, I know a lot of the times you might think like, oh yeah, I know I should stop and ask myself, or we read a book and we're like, yeah, those are good questions I'd like to reflect on, but are we really creating the time to really dig deep within ourselves, to fully understand ourselves better, to change the narrative and direction of our life? So I'm so happy that you were able to share such great reflection questions, because I really do believe that is part of the goddess world, like the goddess work, like doing the inner work.
I think so too, you know, and I'll follow up. I think we're still in a culture where, by and large, what we're being taught out there as far as the critic goes, the messages is like, I think people are being like sort of being taught that you're supposed to get rid of the critic, and I don't actually think that's possible. The critic is part of us, you know, and it served many of us well most of our lives in different ways, but again, yes, it's okay to develop a more loving relationship with ourselves. So I think for me, the concept is more like befriend the critic, understand the critic, but then go, yeah, okay, I hear you, but I'm not letting you, you're not driving the bus. You can have a voice at the table, but hey, I hear you, I respect you, but let's try it this way, right?
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kerisma, for giving this mini training to the audience today. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to post it in the comments of the video, or you could reach out to Kerisma directly, whether that be on Facebook or on Instagram. You can learn more ways how to do more work with her, or maybe how to get your hands on her book. So yeah, feel free to reach out to her.
Okay, thank you so much for all these opportunities, Melissa. You rock.
Thank you. Okay, have an amazing week, Kerisma.
Okay, bye-bye.